Access to the Monte Zone will be granted shortly. Please stand by.
It's Friday. It's 8 o'clock. It's the Monte Zone.
Yeah!
Hell yes. I got it right. I got it right. It was bound to happen eventually. It was bound to happen eventually.
Well done. And you got the right backdrop and everything. I was expecting to look up then and see that you had said all of that perfectly, and then see like the
holodeck. Yeah. Yeah. No, I know.
Everything's right. Well done.
Everything's
Monty.
right.
Well done.
This is where Smiler or Mickey will chime in live chat and say, "No audio, guys. No audio. Can't hear G. Can't hear G."
Give us a thumbs up if everything's looking okay out there in the ether.
Yeah.
Where you guys are watching.
Hit those thumbs up buttons. Let us know.
Give us a thumbs up in comment and hit the thumbs up button.
Yeah, Smiler says everything's okay. Wow, I think
all is awesome.
That's got to be a first. There's got to be some kind of
professional,
some kind of record. It's like we've been doing this a while.
Yeah, actually, we should be coming up on some sort of anniversary soon.
September, the Monte Zone turns 3 years old.
What?
I know.
What?
3 years. We were doing
I
this.
thought you were going to say 2.
No, 3.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
2020, September 2020, and September.
Sean's asked a good question in chat. And evening to everybody that's joined us thus far. So evening to Mickey. Thanks for joining us. I believe, Mickey, you're in Greece. So the effort is phenomenal. Thank you. Evening, Smiler.
It's Greece or Spain,
hello.
something like that. I don't know.
We've got Karen on board as well. And the Snake King is with us. And also Sean. And Sean asked a really great question. What kind of forfeit will you do if you hit 500 subs?
Forfeit? Crikey. I'll tell you what I'll do. I have got here It's in a protective plastic bag. It's Naga chili chocolate. It's one of the hottest chocolates you can buy. If we hit 500 subs during this stream, I will neck this Naga chili chocolate. And trust me, I've had one little tiny piece of it, and it's bad. There you go.
I'm sorry, I haven't got any crazy ass chocolate here with me. So yeah, I don't know what to say to that.
You can always count on me having some crazy ass chili thing handy.
But you know, last Monte Zone we were joking around about. At the time, it was like my latest G-Star and how I'd done it in the garden, and had to actually use the footage shirt. I was on that video. I was going to post a thing that if we got to 1,000 subscribers, I might actually load up a version of the video where you could basically see everything.
First up, just want to introduce. I have created a channel, The Vault, on Rumble. So if anybody out there is a Rumble user and has a Rumble account or anything like that, feel free to check us out on Rumble. I'll just show you the page. Look, The Vault. We're on Rumble. I think we have exactly 0 subscribers at the moment. But, you know, through small acorns, big trees grow and all that.
Well, send me a link after the show and I'll subscribe for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, if you go to Rumble, search for The Vault and find my little red Link's face. You should find us there somewhere. But yeah, check us out on Rumble. At the moment, it's only got one video, the first G-Star Vault. But over the coming weeks, I will gradually add our library of videos to Rumble. So, yeah, you never know. We might even make some exclusive content for our Rumble channel.
I've just noticed a terrible error there. Can you bring that back up again?
Oh, no, don't. What have I done?
No, not you. It's me.
Okay.
It's my unprofessionalism this time.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I believe that is the very first episode of G-Star's Vault that I ever did.
It is.
But why is it called GSVO2?
I don't know. I did
think
wonder
I've numbered
that
one incorrectly.
I know, because I've just copied that from YouTube, and if you go into it, you can even see, like, it does say in the description, episode 1.
Yeah. Oh dear. I'll have to.
But it says
change the
GSV2.
title. Surely you can edit the title and change it to 01 for me on there.
On the bright side, now I've gone and watched it. It has got a view, so we have got a view on that one now. It's me.
I bet you any money that video looks terrible.
Oh look, I could follow it myself. Oh look, well, we should gain a follower now. I didn't even follow my own. Oh, it hasn't registered yet. I didn't even follow my own. It's not bad, G. Look, it's not bad.
Oh yeah, well, I'm still in the same place. That's
Look, you can tell that it's near the end. Look, I actually watched it.
Leave some comments about what
I mean,
your
you look the
thoughts
same
are
as you
on
do
footage,
now,
what you
pretty
think it
much.
is, and I'll check you out.
You haven't
next
aged
time.
in 3
Cheers,
years,
guys. Well,
so you
cheers,
know
guys. Bye.
there's
still wearing
that.
the same. No, it's different hat. Actually.
Different hat.
Same color, different hat.
Same colour. The style's the same, isn't it? The style's the same.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there we go. We're on Rumble, guys. We're on Rumble.
So just bringing some attention to our lively chat this evening. And yeah, Karen put a funny in there where she went more like 1,000 subscribers not to see.
Very good. Very good.
And yeah, I agree, Karen. Yeah. Well, yeah, I definitely would prefer people not to see.
I would pay Chinese bots to sign up just to stop it from happening. Yes.
Excellent. On that note, I just quickly wanted, while we've got you guys' attention, I just quickly wanted to say my bit of news, really. So, first of all, thank you over the last few months to everybody's support and well wishes that they gave for my other half, LJ, whilst he was going through some medical issues. The good news is that operations have all happened now, and recovery is in place, and it's going really, really well. So that's really, really good. But you will have noticed at the same time that there's not been a great deal of content from me in terms of story times or G-Star Vaults. And that's because of a couple of reasons, really. I don't want to go into any boring details, but I'm just going through a bit of a life change at the moment and circumstances which need my focus. So I haven't got as much time right now for YouTubing. But saying that, I am also trying to juggle working out some content on the Underground Paradox, because I'm still trying to really get that channel up and off the ground. So, but it shouldn't last too long, and I will do what I can. But I just wanted to give everybody the heads up that the content won't be as wholesome or as rapid as it's been in the past. But we're still going to be doing the Monte Zone every single month, and there will still be some little bits along the way. But I just wanted to explain, guys, because I know it's been a little bit lacking over the last 4 weeks. But on that note, I do have a little bit of a trailer for my new video for the Underground Paradox that I can share if you want me to share that now, Monty.
Run VT.
Let me load the video file. It's just 2.5 minutes, or the first 2.5 minutes of the episode. This episode is my first investigations. Well, not my first investigations, but my first video recorded investigations on Dartmoor. Oh, just stop it there, sorry. And it will be, the full video will be available this Sunday from 6 p.m. So, and it's an hour long.
Wow.
Welcome to the Underground Paradox, the UGP. After a short stint investigating on the Yorkshire moors, I'm back here on my home turf in Devon, England. I'm lucky. Over the last few years, I've been able to research and investigate both Dartmoor National Park in Devon and also Bodmin Moor in Cornwall, the county right next door. Although I've been investigating this area for quite some years, I'm only now starting to log and record it on video and share it with you guys. So please make sure you subscribe to the channel and give this video a like.
And they're walking, they're coming, and I see the top of the head.
The top of what head?
The top of whoever's coming through there.
What did you see?
What it looked like to me was just, it was dark and I could see it bobbing every time it went. So, I mean, I knew it wasn't a deer. It was dark. I can't say that I noticed that it was really a cone-shaped head at the time, but I mean, I definitely noticed that later.
For centuries, the Dartmoor folklore and legends have encompassed tales of ghosts, witchcraft, weird happenings, and a host of deep-seated beliefs. These have been passed down through the generations via fireside stories, books, and local tradition, all of which have played their part in keeping the tales alive today. Since the 1950s, Dartmoor National Park and the coastline of Devon have been a UFO hotspot and a cryptid hotspot. There is no question that Dartmoor and its landscape has helped fire people's beliefs and imagination. From the thick mists that suddenly appear and roll across the moor, to the dark bottomless mires and the craggy granite tors, each lends an air of mystery and magic, all ripe for associated legends and tales. For this episode, we have a wealth of locations, tales, and encounters, all which relate to various strange events which took place somewhere on the Dartmoor landscape.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's coming this Sunday. I said it was mammoth hour-long edit.
Yeah, that's it's a big one,
I ended up going to 4 locations. So yeah, if you look at it as like 15, well, not 15 minutes, like I don't know, yeah, 15
Per
minutes
location.
per location. But it didn't kind of end up that way. That's not how it works. But can you believe that was filmed like 2 weeks ago in the middle of July, and that was what the weather was like? It was horrendous up there. It was such bad conditions.
It does kind of lend itself though to the storytelling, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of bleak, grey landscape. And in the middle of Dartmoor, in the middle of all that, you've got Dartmoor Prison, which itself looks bleak, doesn't it? As well as the tours, and then you got Princetown and Dartmoor Prison, which is it's just the crown on the cake, isn't it?
Funny you mentioned that, because that's one of the locations that I visit.
Yeah.
I actually go to. Remember we spoke on the live stream about the sighting from the inmate
just off the
in
road.
Dartmoor?
Yeah.
I went to the location where it was reported to investigate and see what I could see and see if the information would add up and stuff. But I won't say anything more about it now. But yeah, that was one of the locations that I went to.
Cool. Very
Oh
cool.
my God, the wind! It was just an absolute nightmare. But it was okay filming in Susan's forest. That was another location that I went to, and so obviously that's a little bit more out of the wind, and it was a little bit more manageable there. But most of the locations that I filmed it, I'm kind of like trying to hold the mic as close as I can to my mouth because it's just so much wind, and then rain.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we'll check that out on Sunday on the on your what's the channel called again?
The Underground Paradox.
The Underground Paradox. That's the one.
Or for ease, the UGP.
The UGP. Yes. UGP. Yes. Very cool. Very cool. So just to start off with a bit of news. Yeah. Monte's own news. So it's rather fortuitous, or a coinkydink, that yesterday there was a congressional hearing into UAPs. Did you see that?
No, I did not. I've been getting confused of late because there's been a lot of live streams going on, and then I click on and I watch them, and then I realise that they're not actually live. It's video footage. So yeah, I've started to ignore some of them, and maybe I've missed something. So go on, tell us about it.
Yeah, it happened yesterday, and it was a cross-partisan congressional hearing into, do you know mainly the whistleblower chap that came forward this year, David Grush.
Yeah,
that's his name. Him and a couple of other government people. There was a lieutenant in the Air Force and some sort of commander guy, I think. There's 3 of them, and they were basically interviewed by the Congress subcommittee. It was the Congress Subcommittee on Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, so UAPs. But it was really interesting. It was really interesting to hear Lieutenant Ryan Graves. What he really wants is a change in policy from Congress, from the government, from the Pentagon, to allow the reporting of UAPs and things of that nature to be more open, and for the people that report these things not to be persecuted, or, you know what I mean? A lot of times, people don't want to come forward because it could put their jobs at risk or whatever. Or if they do, then it all gets hushed up it can become secret by the Pentagon, and then, they face orders of not talking about it and things because it becomes secret. And what they want is the whole thing to be more open, which is why they came to Congress with this yesterday. But the things that David Grush said is like in front of Congress is crazy, saying that humans have been killed by by aliens, basically, that he knows of, and that they're hiding this all away, and it's crazy stuff.
I've still yet to see anything, though. I mean, there's a real split on this because, I can't remember if I did it on the Vault community thread, but I was, putting some stuff out there, asking people to, comment and say what they thought of David Grush. I've watched the main sort of interview with him where he whistle blew sort of, a couple of months ago. And I don't know. There's just something that doesn't add up.
Something not quite right.
It just feels like when he talks about it, it just feels quite staged to me. And that's making me sound like a real conspiracy theorist, isn't it? But if you look at body mechanics, there's a lot of things that he does that just doesn't make him overly seem genuine. And then the other thing that really bothers me, but this is where there's a split divide, and I will take on board some of the points that people do make, and that is that he doesn't share any actual details. Like, he makes all these claims, but he doesn't actually share any names, dates, locations, anything that gives any viable information. But then other people have sort of debated with me and said, well, yeah, but that's because if he did, that's when all hell would kick off, because he would really be divulging secrets then.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I did watch a couple of body language YouTubers break down one of his interviews from just over a month ago, and the main guy, who seems really respectable, he's one of the best on YouTube, really thought that a lot of his body language was actually genuine, and the things that people read into, like shaking your head no whilst making a positive statement.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people
Of
read
course,
that as
of course,
duplicitous. Yeah. Like you're saying, your words are saying yes, but your head's saying no. But he said it's quite often that you're saying something amazing that you can barely believe yourself. So he's like, this thing I'm saying is incredible. And it's kind of the disbelieving, but knowing what you're saying is true. So a lot of the things that he picked up on, he said, some are strange, some are very guarded, but to him, he seems relatively truthful about what he's saying. The problem is, as you said, there's just not a lot of data to back it up. He strays into hearsay and how he sees the situation based on basically rumor. That he's got no hard evidence. And for a whistleblower, usually a whistleblower, as you say, comes forward and gives a load of facts. Oh, look, the government have done these bad things, and here's the documents, right? But he's saying all this, and then when they get asked about it, he goes, I can't give you my source. I'm bound to, this is currently an operation in government, and I can't give those details. And he basically doesn't give anything. So do you want to see this is On Demand News' like 2-minute summary of the congressional hearing yesterday?
Of course. Why not?
Oh no, that's not. Your video's still there. Hang on a minute.
Oh.
That's better.
Oh, there's a man in black there.
Yeah. It was packed. You might
Morning
not be
and
able to hear
welcome
this,
to the
Jim.
most exciting subcommittee in Congress this week, the Subcommittee on National Security, the Border and Foreign Affairs, for discussion of unidentified anomalous
They can
phenomena.
hear it.
We need to tell the folks at the Pentagon they work for us. Dadgummit, we don't work for them. And that's exactly the point. This is an issue of government transparency. We can't trust a government that does not trust.
Do you want to hear it as well, G?
No, it's fine. If you were intentionally not putting the volume on.
No, it's just the way the screen... Hang on a minute. I will share it for you, look.
Whilst you're sorting that out, I'll just quickly mention it's really good that you've brought this up and we're talking about this, because it ties in really well with the focus of this evening's show about the pioneers of ufology.
It does, yeah.
So Actually, I'll say it after. Let's watch this first.
Here you go.
For discussion of unidentified anomalous phenomenon.
We need to tell the folks at the Pentagon they work for us. Dadgummit, we don't work for them. And that's exactly the point. This is an issue of government transparency. We can't trust a government that does not trust its people. We're not bringing little green men or flying saucers into the hearing. Sorry to disappoint about half y'all. We're just going to get to the facts. We're going to...
He was the star of the show. He, just with his honesty and with his dark gamut and, you know, y'all, we... just... he's a proper...
Who is he?
Hey, he's Tim Burchett. He's a Republican congressman from... I can't remember where he's from.
Uncover the cover-up,
cool.
And I hope this is just the beginning of many more hearings and more people coming forward about this.
UAP are in our airspace, but they are grossly underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated, they are routine. Military aircrew and commercial pilots, trained observers whose lives depend on accurate identification, are frequently witnessing these phenomena. The stigma attached to UAP is real and powerful and challenges national security. It silences commercial pilots who fear professional repercussions, discourages witnesses, and is only compounded by recent government claims questioning the credibility of eyewitness testimony.
I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, to which I was denied access to those additional read-ons when I requested it. I made the decision, based on the data I collected, to report this information to my superiors and multiple inspectors general, and in effect becoming a whistleblower. As you know, I've suffered retaliation for my decision, but I am hopeful that my actions will ultimately lead to a positive outcome of increased transparency.
So I take it that you're arguing what we need is real transparency in a reporting system so we can get some clarity on what's going on out there, because there are many pilots in your situation, but we should have a way of developing a systematic inventory of all of such encounters. Is that right?
Yes, and I think we need both transparency and the reporting. We have the reporting, but we need to make sure that information can be promulgated to commercial aviation as well as the rest of the populace.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is an LNS, dude.
Well, we've seen that footage a number of times before. Yeah. Well, that wasn't a very good summary of it, but yeah, it gets crazy in points, but you get the idea anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so going to the point that I was going to make, you know, and I've been banging on about this for a few months now, and that, you know, there's a big part of people who follow the ufology kind of news, and a lot of people in that community think that we're on the cusp of, you know, this transparency or some revelation or whatever, and I'm just not as swept away with it, because if you've been familiar with ufology throughout the decades, this isn't the first time that this has happened. And what's going to be really great about this evening's content, I don't know about you, Monte, I've certainly got some videos to share, but you can see that, like, there's been times in history where you've had senior government and military officials, like, kind of, you know, on camera talking about this subject matter, talking about, you know, the fact that we need truth and stuff. So this has been going on for decades, and I don't necessarily feel that what's happening right now, like everything, a lot of things in life are generational, right? Like every generation kind of thinks that they're the first to do it. And, you know, and I just think that this is what it is again, is that it's another cycle of this media frenzy around it. And I'm not 100% sure that it's really going to go anywhere. And like a lot of people are saying in chat, you know, we need real hard evidence. We don't need people talking about it on some sort of Congress presentation and saying, yeah, blah, blah, blah. You know, we need we need hard evidence, and when that comes, that's when I'll be jumping up and down and get excited. But yeah, I've got some video footage of like some of the early pioneers, and just how public it was. Some of the stuff that and you think about 1947. With Roswell, I think it was Sean mentioned it in chat that he had seen a documentary recently, and it was an accident involving Keemsite and dodgy warp engine. I'm not too sure about that. I've not seen that documentary, Sean, but what is really ironic is that there's so many things that from sort of 1947 that happened around that period of time. That's why a lot of people say, well, this is when it kicked off, because it was that year that somebody first described them as flying saucers. It was that year that the Air Force posted in the newspaper that they had found craft remains, and then the next day they changed the story. It was the year after that year that they started formulating the first Air Force committees and projects to investigate.
I was about to say, and it was that year that it's also a 47 reference.
Yes,
shout out to the 47 references. Sure might like that.
47.
Yeah, 47. Your hat's a 47 reference, but yeah, 1947. Yeah.
So there you go. I forgot to mention, guys, so we're going to be talking about pioneers of ufology this evening, but halfway through, we've got a little bit of a game to play. It's not real or fake. Instead, it's a bit of a hybrid. It is hoax or can't be debunked. So I'm going to show you 6 pictures, and of those 6 pictures, 5 of them might be hoaxes, and 1 is hasn't been debunked, or 4 might be they can't be debunked, and 2 might be hoaxes. You guys will have to decide.
I feel frustration coming my way.
I just thought it was a nice twist.
Yeah, no, it's good. I like it. I like it. Very good.
Right, should we kick off then? Start talking about these pioneers of
let's do
ufology.
It. I reckon your guys are going to be a lot better research than mine.
Well, I think I've got a bit of a head start because
I had like a couple of hours this evening and Wikipedia, so it's not going to be a lot. But the thing is, you guys in chat will probably know more about this stuff than me. So if you know anything about these guys or any of the situations, then please let us know in live chat and help educate me, because I'm always in need of some education.
Smiler, so it will be hoax or no
snappy
debunk. Hoax or no debunk.
Hoax or no debunk.
That's the game for this evening.
Hoax.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say something to
Let's call it hoax or
so,
no.
Yeah, for me, I've obviously got a bit of a head start because I've, been researching ufology for very many years, and these guys, I already knew of them, and that's why I, suggested them. But for me, these are, and again, let us know in comments if you agree or disagree, but these guys that we're going to be talking about this evening, for me, are the 4 pillars of ufology and have massively helped bring ufology forward through the decades. So the first pioneer that we're going to start with is a gentleman called Joseph Allen Hynek. And Hynek was born in 1910 and unfortunately, sadly, left us in 1986. He was an American astronomer and professor and a ufologist. He is perhaps best remembered for his UFO research, however, more so than his being an astronomer and a professor. Hynek acted as a scientific advisor for the UFO studies undertaken by the U.S. Air Force under 3 projects. Project Sign, which ran from 1947 to 1949. Project Grudge, which ran from 1949 to 1951.
What a name.
And Project Blue Book, which is probably the most famous of the 3 and most people are familiar with. And that ran all the way from 1952 all the way to 1969. In In later years, he conducted his own independent UFO research, developing the Close Encounter Classification System, which I'll go through with you later, but we have covered that before in the past, I believe. He was among the first people to conduct scientific analysis of reports and especially of trace evidence purportedly left by UFOs. So that's something really, really important, because in a lot of these investigations, you're not just talking about sightings, you're not just talking about photos, you're not talking about videos, you're talking about trace evidence as well, like burnt ground, burnt trees, other things that they can test for chemical analysis, etc. In response to numerous reports of flying saucers, the United States Air Force established Project Sign in 1948 to examine sightings of unidentified flying objects. Hynek was contacted to the phenomena described therein, suggested as known as astronomical objects. Now, the main thing to say about Hynek is that when he started his role, because remember, he started his career and his life as an astronomer and a professor. He's someone of a very scientific background. So when he came into kind of, as part of these projects for the Air Force, he was quite instantly doing a lot of kind of debunking and giving a lot of scientific explanation for a lot of the reports. But so as he came into it, he was very skeptical, and he would have described himself as a skeptic. But as the years went on, that changed. But before I get into that, what I'm going to do is just quickly share a video. And this is a very early, I feel really lucky to have found this actually. This is quite an early video of Hynek. Oh, where's it gone? That's it. Early televised. I'm not going to say interview. This is where he's doing a presentation to like journalists, etc., and it was filmed and televised.
Welcome, Snake King 950. He says your game name just rolls off the tongue.
Video should be there.
This is the guy in the middle with the glasses.
Yeah, that's Hynek. Actually, I need to move the video on. We'll take it from about here.
UFO phenomenon over the past 20 years in this and other countries. I'm discussing only the Dexter and Hillsdale sightings, and then only that material which I have been able to sift down and to that which forms a consistent picture.
Doctor, could you face this way more?
Yeah, all right.
Thank you.
Hasn't worked out.
For instance, the groups of reports came in over several days from different localities. Many of these have nothing whatsoever to do with the sighting at Hillsdale and at Dexter. Now, for instance, yesterday there was released to the press, and I want to make this completely clear that this has nothing whatsoever to do with the two cases I'm discussing. This picture was released of the rising moon and Venus. This was taken not at the time of the Hillsdale sighting. It was taken several days earlier, not in the evening, but at 5 in the morning at Milan, Michigan, not in Dexter or Hillsdale. This shows you how these sort of investigations can get completely mixed up.
Just to point out there, for those that haven't got the gist, he's there talking to the press about two investigations that he's doing at two locations for the Air Force, Hillsdale and somewhere else, I can't remember the other name. And what he's saying is that there's all this kind of hysteria going on in the local area because the local press have also released two pictures that were reportedly taken in the area or related to this encounter, or why the Air Force is there investigating. And what he's doing quite, bluntly there is basically saying these photos, that's just Venus and whatever. And he goes on to explain how, as an astronomer, he can say that these, photos are rubbish because that's Venus and that's the moon.
Yeah.
And so that's the type of man that he was, and that's where, for a good, portion of, say, the beginning part of all the way up to Project Blue Book, he was very much this voice of skepticism, this voice of scientific reason. And, you know, he was the guy that originally started talking about swamp gas and things like that to explain away certain light phenomena that people had seen. And he was very focused in on astronomical explanations and objects that could explain a lot of the unexplained sightings.
Right.
So yeah, I won't go through playing the rest of this, but just to give you a bit of an idea of who he was. But it's a really good example of, this is the 1950s, and he's there being interviewed and televised and talking about UFOs on behalf of the, you know, Air Force, etc., and discussing photos that have been released in the press. You know, again, very similar to everything that's kind of happening right now.
Yeah,
or not that dissimilar.
It is really strange how it is such a similar discussion.
Yeah,
it hasn't moved on in 70, 80 years.
Yeah, but I just want to read this insert to you because, you know, I've been talking a lot about you know, how he started off his journey very skeptical and really coming from that scientific background. And you can tell that he was very science orientated because, you know, he was the one that thought, right, we need to devise a classification system for, you know, these reports. And that's how he came up with his Hynek model and of classification. But in November 1978, Hynek presented a statement on UFOs before the United Nations General Assembly and Special Political Committee on behalf of himself and Jacques Vallée, who we will be talking about shortly, and Claude Poher. The speech was prepared and approved by the three authors. Their objective was to initiate a centralized United Nations authority on UFOs. Sound familiar? You know, this is where people are now going into the Pentagon and saying, we need to have a group of people that are, you know, releasing information about this and studying it and investigating it. Anyway, so this is where we start to take a bit of an about, sort of, let's call it a 180 degrees turn. In a 1985 interview, when asked what caused his change of opinion, because towards the end of his public career with the Air Force and his time with Project Blue Book, Hynek started to change his views on the subject of UFOs and potential extraterrestrial connection. Some may theorize and hypothesize that change was because of some of the things that he'd seen on some of the cases and reports and investigations that he'd done. But a big part of his change of mind is because of how forceful the Air Force became on this agenda that he must debunk. He must debunk. So even on...
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, sorry, you just disappeared there for a moment. You're back. It's all right.
For how long? Where did you have me up
just
to?
for a brief second. Just for a brief second.
All right. Yeah, so basically, the Air Force was putting a lot of pressure on him, even though he wasn't finding evidence or scientific information that could, you know, because again, for a true open-minded scientist like he was, and he, you know, he needed to, if he's going to debunk something, he needs to have the evidence to say, here you go, here's the findings, here's the facts. And he didn't have that, but the Air Force were forcing him to have an agenda to say that he did, and that, you know, he was asked to come up with any old explanation. And he began to question why the Air Force was so keen to really play down and push and get rid of any discussion of potential connection to UFOs. And what I find really interesting about the whole bloody thing is that we're talking about Roswell 1947, and right after that happens, the Air Force make a dedicated project and a group of people to go out and investigate UFOs and prove, with the agenda to prove that they are not connected to any alien connection. A bit strange, right? Like, if you just try and connect the dots. Now, so in a 1985 interview, when he was asked why he changed his opinion, Hynek responded two things, really. One was the completely negative and unyielding attitude of the Air Force. They wouldn't give UFOs the chance of existing, even if they were flying up and down the street in broad daylight. And everything everything had to have an explanation. I began to resent that, even though I basically felt the same way, because I still thought they weren't going about it in the right way. You can't assume that everything is black no matter what. Secondly, the caliber of the witnesses began to trouble me. Quite a few incidents were reported by military pilots, for example, and I knew them fairly well to be fairly well trained. So this is when I first began to think that, well, maybe there was something to all of this. But obviously, all the military personnel were silenced.
So his mind's starting to change. His outlook's starting to change. Wiki asks, how long after the crash was it?
Literally, so the dates that I think Project Sign, which was the first project from the US Air Force, started, was in 1948, and Roswell took place in 1947, obviously. Can't remember the month. I think it was, I'm going to say, I think it was May that Roswell happened. I don't know if somebody can Google that for me quickly. But yeah, so it was literally like almost instantaneous, Wookie. And, you know, if there was nothing to hide from the incident in Roswell, why such a big agenda? But I don't think that agenda was actually really pushing through even to Hynek. July
1947, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, you're talking about half a year. So, and if you're going to develop a project of people that are a mixture of scientists, government officials, and military personnel, it's going to take you a little while to pull them together.
But for the 1940s, just bearing in mind, we're only on the back of a world war, or two world wars even, when, you know, and the Great Depression, they mobilized pretty quickly, I think. Hi, Hearts.
Queen of Hearts.
Have you changed your name?
Yeah, it's changed your handle.
Yeah, it's changed your handle.
It's Queen of Hearts. Like it.
Like
nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's really interesting that you're looking at a man here who was really the face of, for very many years, he was the face of the US Air Force and debunking the whole subject of ufology and as I said, an otherworldly connection. And then all of a sudden almost does a 360 by the end. Now, what's really interesting, so I mentioned earlier that he unfortunately left the mortal coil in 1986. And I have an interview that's with him from, I think it was around 1984, so not long before he unfortunately passed. But before you start playing it, Monte, it is lined up, ready to go.
Yeah.
But before you start playing it, just to mention, like, I don't know if any of you have seen the recent program. I think it spans across 2 seasons or 3 seasons, Project Blue Book. I would highly recommend it as a watch. It's a good program, which, you know, I can't talk for whether it's 100% factual, but it sort of paints a really nice, not too dramatic sort of picture of how and why Hynek kind of, you know, changed his approach and his opinion on the whole subject and his entanglement and connection with the Air Force.
It's not a History Channel series, is it?
Huh?
It's not a History Channel thing, is it?
I don't know if it's a History Channel.
Do you know what platform it's on?
I originally, I believe, I watched it on Sky.
All right. Project Blue Book, season 2.
Yeah, well, just to answer Kevin, because Kevin said I thought Hynek changed his mind because of he had seen things that he said he couldn't explain. Yeah, pretty much, Kevin. That's what I was, you know, from his little interview that he did there. He did mention that, you know, there was other things where military personnel were reporting things that you couldn't easily say, well, no, because, you know, you're talking to somebody who's got a trained eye for this sort of thing. And yeah, but I think the program of Project Blue Book makes it seem like he did see. Now, again, this is where I don't know enough detail, whether they overplay the card that he saw as much as he saw, or whether it's just to make the TV program interesting that they've kind of layered that in. But overall,
it's an Apple TV series.
Right.
So you can either get it free on Apple or you can purchase it on Prime Video. But it's an Apple. It's an Apple show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good few years old now. You're right, Kevin. It's got the guy from Vampire Diaries in it, and also the guy who's the baddie in Maze Runner.
Oh, right, yeah.
He plays Hynek and does quite a good job at it, actually. Is a good sort of look for him as well. But anyway, so let's play this interview, because and the reason why I love and I've brought this section of this interview for you is just because I love the way his mind works.
That astronomy has arrived at the point we know enough now about the evolution of stars
this whole time
to make it extremely likely that there are many other intelligences in the universe. But there, I think we have to follow Arthur C. Clarke in pointing out that we take perhaps a much too narrow view of what intelligence in the universe may be. We live on a water planet. It's very logical, therefore, that our bodies are mostly water. It could be that our consciousness expresses itself through protoplasm and through our particular chemistry. There are bits of information today indicating that, now, for instance, George Wald at Harvard feels that consciousness is the most important factor, and that consciousness can exist in many forms.
Yeah, so just a short insert, but yeah, basically what he was talking about is how astronomy is showing us more and more, like, you know, evidence that statistically there's, you know, because remember this is still like 1985 or 84, I think this interview took place. So, you know, we'd already started to find out some stuff there, and he's talking about, I just love the concept that, you know, we think of things, and when we think about intelligent life in the universe, I know a lot of people think about it being like almost biological or some sort of similar bipedal, when actually you have to widen your view to think that it could be something gaseous, it could be something that sits on a completely different plane of consciousness, that would be what you could still describe as intelligent life. So
a crystalline entity.
Yeah, but I'll go through this quickly, but just to remind everybody about Hynek's classification, because I do think it's pretty cool, and this makes him, for me, a pioneer of ufology, because, you know, this is inspired not only a generation of ufologists and how anybody who's interested in the subject looks at different accounts or encounters or reports, but also has influenced things like Hollywood massively. But so his classification originally was radar. Oh, hold on. Let me find the start of it. Yeah, so the first one is nocturnal lights. So that's lights in the night sky. Second one is daylight discs. So UFOs seen in the daytime, generally having discodial or oval shapes. Radar visual. So UFO reports where they have radar confirmation. These supposedly try to offer harder evidence that the objects are real, although radar propagation can be occasionally discredited due to atmospheric propagation anomalies. And then we get straight into close encounters of the first kind, so CE1. This is visual sightings of an unidentified flying object, seemingly less than 500 feet or 150 meters away, that show an appreciable angular extension or considerable detail. So if you're out and about anywhere and you see something that you can't explain in the sky and you just see it, that's an encounter of a first kind. Close encounters of a second kind, that's a UFO event in which a physical effect is alleged. This can be interference in the functioning of a vehicle or electronic device, animals reacting, a psychological effect such as paralysis or heat and discomfort in the witness, or some physical trace like impressions on the ground, scorched or otherwise affected vegetation, or chemical traces. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, CE3, is UFO encounters in which an animated entity is present. These include humanoids, robots, or humans who seem to be occupants or pilots of a UFO. And then you have Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind, and that is a close encounter of the fourth kind is a UFO event in which a human is abducted by a UFO or its occupants. This type is not included in the Hynek's original close encounter scale. Hynek's former associate Jacques Vallée argued in a Journal of Scientific Exploration that the fourth kind should refer to cases when witnesses experienced transformation of their sense of reality, to also include non-abduction cases were absurd. Excuse me, sorry. Hallucinations or dreamlike events are associated with UFO encounters. And then lastly, you have Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, and that's when it refers to human-initiated contact with extraterrestrial life forms or advanced interstellar civilizations, claiming direct communication between aliens and humans. But obviously, Spielberg was a big fan of Hynek, and that inspired his film Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And also, Hynek does a cameo guest appearance at the very end of that film when they're on that sort of mountainside platform and welcoming the alien ships down to the sort of runway. Hynek plays one of the scientists.
When you started coughing a minute ago, I thought you might have needed the Hynek maneuver. Hey! My first dad joke of the evening. Thank you, I'm here all night.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Kevin's put in chat about imagine what he's seen and being told. It must have been hard to compute in his head. Yeah. For any of these guys, you know, I'm so envious and so jealous of what they may have seen or what they may have know. But yeah, I'm sure in his time with those projects, he's certainly seen plenty. And again, you can't always believe what you see in TV and film. So I would take the TV series Project Blue Book with a pinch of salt. But obviously in that, they do kind of give, you know, the suggestion that he saw crafts, etc.
Yeah.
Himself directly. Which there is no mention, just to point out, there is no mention in any literature or anything that I've come across where he states that he actually saw any craft.
Wookie, they're talking about the Drake equation and the Fermi paradox. It's a nice crossover to the TNG review show last week. We talked about the Fermi paradox, funnily enough, in the TNG review show. So there you go. It was only fact that we talked about it there that I actually know what it is. Yeah, the Fermi paradox. Very good. That's the paradox that if such intelligent beings existed, you know, and were in such a way available to visit Earth, we would have known about them by now. It's a bit like, you know, if time travel was ever possible, we'd have known about it because they would have come back in droves.
Just to point out to Queen of Hearts, I think Wookiee is either being humorous or sarcastic. Fire in the Sky is not a sequel to E.T. Just to point out.
I dread to think what Fire in the Sky is. I'm going to have to quickly.
Fire in the Sky is the story of Travis Walton. It's a movie set upon the book of Travis Walton wrote, and he also consulted on the movie as well. It's a brilliant film. I really enjoy it, although again, it is a dramatization of what happened. What's really interesting if you read the Travis Walton book. But again, what's really important about all of our pioneers is they are not experiencers. They are not people who have had encounters or sightings themselves, or at least, well, for the ones that I've researched. But what I know of some of the others that Monte's going to go through with you, none of them have seen anything or claimed to have seen anything. But they've made massive strides and leaps within the research of ufology. So I think for me they're pillars of pioneers of the subject. So anyway, over to you, Monty, and who are you talking
first,
to?
Double hand waves to Mazza McBob. Hello, Mazza. I'm waving.
Hi, Mazza.
Hi, Mazza.
Hope you're enjoying your night out.
Yeah, it's with Tunny. Say hello to Tunny for us.
Hello, Tunny.
Yeah, if you can't hear us, hello, Tunny. Yeah. So, yeah. And while you're there, if you're just popping by, remember to hit the like button. Thank you very much. Okay, yes. So it's my bit, isn't it? I'm dreading this part. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about someone called. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Jacques Fabrice Vallée. Is that?
I pronounce it. I don't know why. I may be wrong, but I pronounce it Jacques Vallée.
Oh, is it Jacques Vallée? Yeah. Well, he's French.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think he's from Paris, France. Still 11 subscribers away from death by chocolate. Yes, we are. He's French, but we won't hold it against him. He was born in France in September the 24th of 1939. The interesting thing about Jacques Vallée is that he is an internet pioneer, computer scientist, amongst many other things, capitalist and author and ufologist.
So what scientific background was he? Computer scientist?
Yes, he's a computer scientist. That was his main. Well, I think he started off in astronomy, and moved into computer science through astronomy, and actually was an early pioneer of the internet. So his career began as a professional astronomer in the Paris Observatory. And as a part of being a professional astronomer, he co-developed the first computerized map of Mars for NASA in 1963, which is pretty impressive if you think about it.
Yeah, very impressive.
But that's kind of when he moved to America, worked with NASA. From that, ended up in the ARPANET program. And if you know ARPANET, that was the precursor to the internet. That was the U.S. military internet that they put together so that their military forces could communicate with each other from anywhere, and that was the foundation of the internet today. So,
wasn't it used a lot by the United Nations?
Yes. So yeah, he was a staff engineer at SRI International Augmentation Research Center under Douglas Engelbart. What a name, Engelbart. That's an American name for you. Vallée is an important figure in the study of unidentified flying objects, UFOs. He noted he's the first proponent to the extraterrestrial hypothesis, ETH, which is something that came about in the 1960s. Nobody knows exactly where it came from. And originally, the theory and the term, but he is certainly the first person to popularize it and give it some context. So he's really tied to that. But by 1969, he suggested a new concept, the interdimensional hypothesis. So the extraterrestrial hypothesis was these crash ships, these flying saucers that everybody's reporting, these UAPs, are from another planet, from a long way away, and they've traveled to Earth for scientific exploration or to conquer us or whatever it might be for our resources. But the interdimensional hypothesis was that these beings are from here and they're from another plane, from another dimension, from another reality, and they've crossed over to our reality, and that's what we're seeing.
Right. I am just sorting you out.
A picture?
A picture, yeah, of Jacques Vallée. Because what I find really interesting I've got what I want to share first of all is a picture of him whilst he was quite young. And that may not ring any bells for anyone, so that's ready to put on the screen. So this is a young Jacques Vallée.
It's not coming up with anything.
That's weird. It's there in the...
Oh, there he is.
There you go.
Oh, yes. There he is.
So that's a very young Jacques. And now, let me share with you a picture of a more modern, up-to-date picture of him. And I'm sorry, but I can't get anything but Doctor Who vibes. And maybe, I hope I haven't got the wrong picture of somebody. There you go, ready to share.
It's taking its fine time.
It's thinking about it. There it is.
Yeah. There it is. Hey, he's got a good mop, hasn't he? I certainly have hair envy. Yes.
Does he not look like Doctor?
He does a bit, doesn't he? He looks a bit like not the last one, because obviously that was a lady, but the one before. What was he called? Oh, I can't remember his name. Anyway, that is Jacques Vallée.
That's Jacques.
That's him. We can leave him up there if you want for a bit. So yes, interdimensional hypothesis says he came up with this new interdimensional hypothesis because he felt the data set that he was investigating, they came from other planets, was too narrow, and he wanted to start investigating things like cults and demons and angels and ghosts and cryptids and psychic phenomenon, and he wanted to add all this into his research of extraterrestrials, which he couldn't do if it was all just down to aliens. So as you said with the last guy, he was also an inspiration for a character in Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that of the French scientist Claude Lacombe.
Yeah.
Lacombe. Claude Lacombe in the Close Encounters was modelled off of Vallée.
Yeah, so funny in that trope.
Yeah. You said he's still alive. He's 83 years old. Lives in San Francisco.
I just saw that. I don't know why. I just because he was obviously good mates with Hynek. I just thought that maybe but obviously around those times when they were kind of collaborating and working together, that must have been a lot younger.
Wookie said it's bullshit. It's the guy from Naked Gun. Leslie Nielsen. It does look like Leslie Nielsen. Yeah. Very good. Very, very good.
Kevin says he's got professor hair.
Yeah, he definitely does. He definitely does. So, yeah, I mean, scientist, computer pioneer, Mars mapper. He also was an author. So he actually wrote a number of books about his research. But he also wrote some science fiction novels as well, which is a common theme, I think, with a lot of ufologists or people that think like this. They end up becoming good writers, and because they've got all these ideas in their heads, they end up putting that down in scientific sci-fi novels. And he wrote 4 sci-fi novels. The first one being Le Subespace, or Space Sub. He wrote that in 1961. So there you go. That's all I've got.
Yeah. But still very, very influential in the world of... was he not also connected to MUFON as well?
What's MUFON?
MUFON is the mutual investigation of what does MUFON stand for again? I should know that, but don't really. MUFON. Mutual UFO Network.
I don't know.
I think he played some part of it, or at one point he was. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I've got that.
I don't know. I didn't see that. I have to say, I didn't see that. I did see that there was a character inspired by him in X-Files, in an episode of X-Files. The episode Jose Chung's From Outer Space. Where there was two characters in that. I think they were pilots. One was called Jack Schaefer and Robert Valet. So there's a play on
his name.
Valet and Schaefer.
X-Files is full of loads of little nods like that.
Yeah, there was a Sergeant Hynek in that as well. So that he filled the episode full of ufologist names.
That's a really funny episode of X-Files as well. It's kind of a bit of a tongue-in-cheek take on the whole UFO subject. So yeah, it's a good episode, that one of my favorites. Great. So we've come through two pioneers of ufology, and just to mention, I talked a little bit about how Hynek and Jacques had quite a. They collaborated quite a lot and quite closely, and they'd done that whole thing for the United Nations as well, the Journal of Scientific Explanation, and that was mostly throughout the 70s, really, that they were doing a lot of that work together independently. So yeah, that's our first two pioneers of ufology, and we've got another two to go. But before we get on to the next one, it's time to play Hoax or Not Debunked.
I will transition to the screen with the chat on it. So we got the chat. Hello, live chat. You're on the stream. Say hello, stream.
Just need to remind myself of the first image that I was going to use. Do that one, I think. Right, so remember, you're not saying whether the photograph is real or fake. Well, I guess you kind of are, but, this is whether you think in the world of ufology...
Bunked or no bunked?
In the world of ufology, whether these pictures have been claimed to be a hoax. And when I say hoax, I mean that either...
Kevin's going to miss the... Kevin, you're going to miss the quiz. Kevin's got to pop away for 15 minutes.
But that's the beauty of YouTube. You can watch it back.
Yeah, you can watch it later. Yeah, you can watch it later.
Yeah, so you basically say, like, when I say that they're hoax, there's either been a piece of information that's been found out about it that 100% proves that it's a hoax, or the person behind the picture has come forward and said they hoaxed it. So I'm pretty confident on the ones that I'm going to say hoax are that they were a hoax. But you guys need to tell me what you think. So the first one's ready to share, Monte. Don't know if this is going to be as slow as the other ones that took their time to come up. Oh, no. There it is. So that's your first picture. So put in chat, guys. Put hoax if you think this is a hoax picture, or put not debunked if at this current stage no one has been able to 100% debunk this picture. So yeah, Smiler's basically saying hoax equals fake. And I guess the other opposite side of that is that you potentially think it might be real. But even real, because what you've got to remember is we're saying unidentified. So it means that it hasn't been identified. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're saying that it's alien.
I know this is not part of the quiz, but Wookie asks G, who was the first person to claim that they were probed?
Probed?
Probed. Who was the first to claim?
What, like as in an abduction?
A good probing, yeah.
Actually, I think that is something that's come along with the more, if I could describe it as the pseudo side of ufology, the media side of ufology that you get, that there's this idea that people have had sex with aliens or been probed, and actually, if you go through a lot of the reports that still have big question marks around them, none of those kind of activities, exist really that I've read about. So I don't really know.
I think the first person to claim to have been abducted was a Brazilian. I can't remember his name or when it was, but I think it was like in like the 50s or 60s.
Just to kind of extend a little bit on my answer, but there is a huge amount of people who have had devices taken out of them surgically that are pieces of metal or unexplained, technology that has been surgically removed from them. So I guess, if they had that put inside them in some sort of form or manner, it would have required somebody like injecting or probing them or something, so who knows. Right. So what are you saying, Monty, to this one? Are you saying
I've said hoax. Queen of Hearts, thank you for saying hello to the stream. I said you're on the stream. You can say hello to the stream. And Hearts was the only person that listened to me. Nobody listens to me. But thank you for saying hello, Hearts. I do appreciate it. Everyone's saying, Queen of Hearts said it looks like what she saw in 1988/89. But I think in this case, I think that's a hoax.
Okay, so put you all out of your misery. I know some of you out there don't like doing points and competitions, so if you don't like points, just give yourself a pat on the back.
Points.
If you do like points, take 10 Monte Zone points if you said hoax, because this is a hoax.
I got it right. I get 10 points.
You are the man. Right, next one.
Smiler now listened to me and said, hello, Streamy. Heidi, Streamy.
Ready to share.
Karen said hoax, you can have 10 points. Mickey said hoax, you can have 10 points. Wookie, you said hoax, but you're not getting any points. And
getting a pat on the back.
Snake King said hoax. He gets 10 points.
So, is this picture a hoax, or is this one that has not successfully to date been debunked by anybody?
Once your dial-up modem uploads it to the internet, we'll know, G.
It's there. I can... Oh, no.
There it is. There it is.
Oh, there must be a new feature that you have to click on it underneath the thing for it to show. There you go. So, is this a hoax? Or is this a photo that is still, to this day, not been... and when you say debunked, because actually a lot of the debunked stuff, they use a lot of science and there's a lot of mathematics, and they show, and that's what I mean by being like really properly debunked.
It's not a lot to go on in that, is it? I mean...
Not really.
It's like about, I don't know, a few hundred pixels across. I mean...
I don't know a huge amount about this one, actually, but I believe this was taken in England.
Those trees, those bushes look English. It looks winter. It looks cold wherever it is. Hearts doesn't have a clue. Karen's gone hoax.
Mickey said debunked.
Hoax. Then Wookie says not a hoax. No hoax. Smiler says not a hoax. I'm gonna go no hoax.
Snakes just said something really interesting in comments there. I think hoax because the ships look too much like a typical saucer, but basically, even the first guy who's quoted as saying flying saucer doesn't think he said flying saucer in that way. But that expression has come from the fact that a lot of the early sightings were described by a lot of the witnesses as saucer shaped. So if it's going to be real and these people were being honest and true, the original ones like from back in the 40s and 50s, I guess that craft would have to be saucer shaped in some regard if they were going to be real. But so don't think that there's like a stereotypical image, and then because something is the stereotypical image, it means it's naturally fake. But
and this could be like, I don't know, like airplanes flying towards us or something, or it's difficult to tell. But there's not a lot of data in the image, is there, to really say what it is?
So, and also I just want to explain to Smiler's comment. In the world of ufology, there's a lot of photos that either for a period of time people shared them and they were considered real, and they set off a kind of like, ooh, but then somebody came along and went, no, I'm going to prove how this isn't what people think it is. And that means that they prove that it's a hoax. There are certain pieces of photographic evidence and video evidence that exist out there that all manner of scientific analysis has been done on them by experts that are, mathematicians or photographic experts or CGI experts, and there does exist photos and videos where nobody has successfully been able to what we call debunk it. And actually, I think even debunking it is a poor expression, because debunk actually means something else. But anyway, you kind of get my drift.
We're drifting.
So I think this one split people down the middle, right?
It has, yeah. We've got the opposite to hoax, like myself and Smiler and Wookie, and we've got a few hoaxes as well. Mickey, Karen. So
okay.
I don't know what Snake King thinks about this. He thinks hoax is. Sorry, yeah, Snake King was hoax as well.
So, Wookie's just said do a top 10 of them sometime. I could probably eke out about 10, because it's actually not, to get to 10 would probably be tough going, because there's not a huge amount that could stand up those tests, but there definitely is stuff out there. So, but yeah, nice idea, nice suggestion, Wookie. So if you said that this one is not being debunked, unfortunately, you don't get any points, because this is a hoax.
Damn it.
And this is a proven hoax. The person who shared this picture has come forward to say that they hoaxed it.
Well done.
And it wasn't real. So,
yeah, well done, Mickey.
Guys.
Well done, Karen. Well done, Snake King. We'll try better next time.
Here's your next one coming. Not too long to wait. Do better with this one.
I'm hearing the dial-up modem sounds in your end. It's coming any second now. Any minute. It's coming through line at a time. Doesn't want to appear.
Doesn't want to go. I think it's your end. I'm seeing it my end. It's right there. It's right there in the screen.
Should I try removing it and putting it back on again?
No.
Doesn't want to. I can see it as a thumbnail backstage.
Doesn't want to play ball.
But it doesn't want to appear actually on the screen. Oh, there it is. There it is.
There we go. Finally. Sorry.
That's
start lining up the next one right now.
That's a very famous one.
Yes. So let us know in chat. Is this a hoax, or is this not debunked?
I've got a feeling. I've got a feeling officially. I mean, I don't know, but I think this is a not debunked one, even though it obviously it looks like a dustbin lid. Being held up between
I know this one. It's a hubcap on a fishing line.
It does look like a dustbin lid or a hubcap on a fishing line, but I got a feeling officially it has never been officially debunked. It's one of the famous ones, isn't it? There's like a shed down to the right here, or some sort of barn, a farmhouse or something. It's out in the middle of like nowhere in Wisconsin or somewhere. I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry.
We've had this. We've looked at this picture before. I know we have. It's been 3 years though. We've been doing this, so you know.
Hoax does mean that it's been debunked, yeah, but hoax is another, yeah. It's fine.
It's either debunked or not debunked.
So I should have done debunked or not debunked, but hoax.
That makes sense, doesn't it? That makes sense.
Because it's what the person's doing with the photo. They're hoaxing.
The Billy Meyer one. Yeah. That's it, Hearts. I think that's the one.
Isn't it the Billy Meyer one?
It is, isn't it?
Oh my God! Get out of the room.
Is it not?
No, it's not.
Oh.
There is no, it's not.
Oh.
No. Okay, I'm going to put everybody out of their misery, and I'll tell you what this is. Monte had it right, so I was starting to get a little bit red in the face with Monte then, but he kind of then revealed that he did know what he was talking about, because we've covered this quite a lot on the show. This is a very, very famous photo in the world of ufology. If you Google UFO picture that can't be disproven, this will be what will come up. This is the McMinnville photo. It's taken by Mr. and Mrs. McMinnville outside the McMinnville farm in Oregon. And we've covered it quite a lot. This is the one photo in the history of ufology that's gone through the most scientific scrutiny. There's actually a series of photos, and it's not just the scientific scrutiny. There's a lot of situations around, because this took place. This photo was taken in, I believe, if date serves me correct, 1963.
I know why I know it so well. It's in our intro.
Yes, it is. Yes,
it's in the UFO part of our intro.
So, and basically, when this picture was taken was when people still used old style cameras. So one of the things that you couldn't do with old style cameras is you certainly couldn't try and fake a UFO sighting without taking some pictures first and foremost to check whether you're getting the right thing on camera. And so one of the things that investigators used to do with a lot of early UFO reports, can't do it so much now with mobile phone technology and other devices, but they were able to look through the film, and if the film showed staging of some sort, it would lead you to kind of understand that they'd set up a hoax. But there was two photos altogether that were shared by the McMinnvilles, and it actually wasn't even shared by them, and they never made any kind of fame or anything out of it, really. It was a journalist friend of the family who actually shared the image. But on the reel of photos, it just had all family photos that were taken over a series of months, showing that there was no urgency for these guys to get it developed either, because they didn't get it developed till several weeks later. So there's a lot of other happenings around the whole thing that can be studied and explored and investigated that also go to support the case. But you can go and watch, or not go and watch, sorry, but you can download like several scientific, I want to say journals, like papers that are really detailed reports of the investigations of these photos. There's two main ones that I know of. So it's had a lot of scrutiny, but it's stood up all the way through the decades. So give yourself 10 Monty points if you said debunked or not debunked.
Not debunked. Not debunked. Not debunked. I got 10 points. Who else got 10 points? Karen, you got 10 points. Snake King, you got 10 points. Mickey, you did not get 10 points. Smiler Rainbow, you did not get 10 points. And Queen of Hearts, you do get 10 points. So, yay to all those people who got 10 points. Well done, everyone.
The sooner you do it, the sooner it'll come.
Yeah, I'm doing it. That is shared, but
just takes its time. Snake is on 3 for 3, so he's on 100%, doing well.
He's observant. He is observant.
What was the answer to question 1, please? The answer was that it was a hoax.
It was a hoax. It was debunked. Yeah. Faked, as Wiki says, faked. Debunked or not debunked? That is the question. Yeah, quoting Shakespeare now. Yeah.
Come on.
'Tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings of arrows and arrows of outrageous fortune.
There we go.
There we go. It's there it is.
So is this another famous photo that's never been 100% debunked, or is this
Or has it?
hoax?
What do we reckon, guys? Is that a hoax that's been debunked, or has it not been debunked? Is it still open to questions? What do you reckon? I'm seeing a very tiny little white cloud.
Very tiny, singular.
Very tiny,
white cloud.
very singular, very, you know.
Pump those answers into chat, guys.
It's just there out on its own. I don't know. I'm sure we've seen this one before as well.
Have we?
I don't know. What do you think, guys? Nobody wants to say. Nobody wants to go first. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to say debunked. Queen of Hearts says debunked. Snake King says debunked. Wookiee says debunked.
It's hoax.
Hoax. Yeah, we've all said it's hoax so far. Nobody's come back and said it's not been debunked. Karen, what do you say? Karen's on 3 for 3 at the moment. Snake King's on 3 for 3. Can you keep up your score, Karen? Let us know. Oh, Smiler's chat was deleted. Oh no. Snake King says a flying tic tac. Well, you know, that is kind of what that congressional hearing yesterday was all about. They showed many flying tic tacs.
Oh, I've just a bit of exciting. I can't share it right now, but I just came across yesterday. I just came across a new piece of footage of a rectangular UFO, which may feed into my rectangular theory.
No, Smiler, nobody's been playing around with your chat.
No, I certainly didn't. No,
it's probably a YouTube thing. Just it looks okay from our end. Karen's not answering, so go on, give it.
I'm going to move
give
on
us
with
the
this
answer.
one. So basically, this one is a hoax. It basically is fake.
Well done, everyone. We all got it right. We all got it right. You can all have 10 Monte Zone points. Karen comes in with a hoax after you've give out the answer. So, well done, Karen. You keep your 4 out of 4 score going.
Next one's ready for you to click yes.
Do. There it is.
You were right, John. It's a fake.
Yeah, it was fakeroo.
So what about this one, number 5? There's only one more after this one.
Well, you can barely make it out. I mean, again, it's just terrible quality, isn't it?
It is, because, yeah, do you know what? I'll say it afterwards, actually.
Say it afterwards, because you might... Hearts is gone straight in with a not debunked.
I'll give an extra 20 points to anybody who can tell me where this is.
Oh, that's nice. Sorry, Smiler was just getting me to try a beer. It's very nice. It's very fruity.
I basically just said I will give 20 Monte Zone points to anybody extra who can tell me where this is.
I don't know.
I mean, if there's members of the audience that are watching that are pretty well versed on.
Karen's gone LAX.
Kevin's got it. Well done, Kevin. I am proud. That is it. Actually, it's O'Hara
Chicago.
Airport,
Yeah.
but I think it's. Is it not in Texas? I thought it was in Texas. But I'm going to give it to you because it's definitely the O'Hara Airport. And you probably know about this one, right? So.
In that case, I'm going not debunked.
It does give it away a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah, this. So I was going to say, and it would have influenced it. This was very hard for me to find this photo. Like, literally, I've read more about this photo than I've seen this photo, and it's really hard to find it. And where I found it from, I had to rip it off, and it's obviously damaged the pixelation of it. But this is a famous, I thought it took place in Texas, but it's at O'Hara Airport. This is called the O'Hara sign. And this is in the top 5, you know, in a lot of, you know, books. You know, if you search online, ufologists consider this to be within the top 5 pieces of evidence. Again, this picture has gone through. And the other thing that was key about this one is hundreds of people witnessed it as well. So that really supports it massively. And it caused quite a stir in the States when this happened. So, yeah, this one still hasn't been proven to be a hoax yet, or nothing 100% can provide that evidence, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
and you think as well, an airport like has all the tracking data. You know, air traffic control like monitors the shit.
There is radar,
like all that
so
space. You know, and it's covered in cameras as well.
You can find the radar pictures of that incident more easily than you can actually find pictures of the
actual thing.
Crash. It's definitely been, well, again, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it's definitely been like subdued for people to be able to look at it, study it. Let's do the last one.
The last one, everyone. This is your last chance to get some Monte Zone points. You have to click a button.
There you go.
There you go. What the fudge is that?
What the fudge?
Snake King's on the chat, so I'll choose my words carefully. What the fluff? I don't even. How can I say debunked or not debunked when I don't even know what it is we're looking at? Debunked.
Well, you're looking at the same picture that I'm looking at. Is this a hoax? All of these pictures are pictures where people have gone, here, I've seen an unexplained aerial phenomenon, or I've seen a UFO, and boom, and they pass this over, and they pass this one, and this is what the photo looked like. Is this a hoax?
Well, I shall go not debunked. I'm not saying it's not a hoax, but I'm just saying that
I will give people a clue. This is not the Phoenix Lights.
No. Oh, Snake King's going debunked.
I'm still waiting to hear from Kevin.
Is this from video footage? It does look like it's from video footage, actually, Wookie.
I've not ripped it off of video footage. I've taken it off a site where there's a number of different things.
Hearts is asking, was this taken from space?
Very good proposal there.
So Stevie T says pre-bunked. he's debunked it before anybody else has even seen it. It's pretty impressive.
Wrong, but
I don't even know what we're looking at. So I've gone not debunked just for the fact that I don't think anybody has really considered it long enough to actually debunk it.
So you're going not debunked. You're saying that this isn't a hoax.
Wookie was saying, is it Arizona and debunked? He was thinking the Phoenix Lights. So well done there, Wookie. Kevin says, it looks like stars. It does look like stars, yes.
Okay, so this last one...
Put us out of our misery.
This last one is not a hoax. This one is from an incident that took place in Newark in the States. And again, when I say I took it from a load of stuff, this is a mass sighting, again, that was seen by both members of the public, military, all at the same time. It's famous. It's, again, in the top 5 cases that go to prove some genuineness to ufology, and this is I can't remember what they call it. The New York. It's not the Newark Lights. It's something Newark, but it's basically in the States. Yeah.
Wow, Newark, not New York.
No, Newark, Newark.
Okay. Let's see if I can see anything about it. Newark.
So let us know in chat how many points you think you got. I know that midway there, Snake was on 100%.
I think he might have dropped a couple at the end there.
Share your top scores in comments.
I think I got 4, but I got the last one right. Pure randomness, not because I actually knew, and I did cheat by copying Kevin on one of them. But apart from that, I did really well. through flukes and copying Kevin, I done really well. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased. Snake King got 3 out of 5 in the end. Not quite as good as my 4, but yeah, not bad. Hart said all hers were guesses. Wookie says he got about 20%. About roughly, maybe 1. We don't count Wookie scores though. We don't count Wookie. Yeah, I know I cheat, Snake King. I cheat. Karen, I think, is probably our winner at 4 out of 5. She did it the right way. So, well done, Karen. Congratulations. We are now going to carry on with our talk of ufologist pioneers. Thanks for putting that together, G. That was really good. It didn't get me in a raging state like real or fake normally does. So well done.
Sorry, it's not Newark, it's New Jersey. Sorry, it's the lights above the New Jersey Turnpike. It happened in 2001.
New Jersey.
It basically was seen by a bunch of motorists on the turnpike for about 15 minutes just after midnight. They marveled at the sight of strange orange and yellow lights in a V formation. So parts of it were very similar to the Phoenix Lights. But yeah, 2001. Air traffic controllers initially denied that any airplanes, military jets, or space flights could have caused the mysterious lights, but a group known as the New York Strange Phenomena Investigators claimed to receive FAA radar data that corroborated the UFO sighting from that night.
Yeah. Cool.
There you go.
The New Jersey Lights.
Right, so we're on to our next pioneer of ufology, right?
Yes, that is correct.
And this, so I'm going to kick it off. So that's right, yeah, I kick it off and then you finish with our next one. So this gentleman again is someone that when I see him speak a lot or, talk, I really feel that he's somebody that I align with his sense of thinking, and I'll share some video presentations of him in a little while that kind of I've picked out that are my favorite kind of phrases or statements from him. But the gentleman that I'm talking about is Stanton T. Friedman. He was born in 1934 and sadly only passed away very recently in 2019. Now, Friedman was an American nuclear physicist. Actually, it says American. I think he was Canadian. No, he was obviously born in America, but he lived in Canada.
Canada.
Yes, so he was a nuclear physicist and then went on to become a professional ufologist. And he resided in New Brunswick, Canada. He was originally a civilian investigator for the Roswell UFO incident.
Do you know where he was born? Do you know where he was born?
What, in the States?
Yeah. He was born not far away from the New Jersey Turnpike.
Oh, right. Interesting.
Yeah. Coinkydink. What a coinkydink.
Yeah. So basically, just to point out, he was the original civilian investigator of the Roswell UFO incident.
That's what he looks
and
like.
I've done a bit of maths, and when it says original investigator, it means that he went to the location and studied the the trace evidence, etc. But I was doing the maths because I thought, well, if he was born in 1934, he would only been 13 years old at 1947. So he must have started that investigation sometime after the event. And if then you're investigating traceable environmental evidence, if it's like 10 years later, it's a bit too late to really get in there with the best of investigation. But anyway, just thought I'd point that out. Friedman was the first civilian to document the site of the UFO incident in Roswell, as I said. And he supported the hypothesis that it was a genuine crash of an extraterrestrial spacecraft. In 1968, Friedman told a committee of the United States House of Representatives that the evidence suggests that Earth is being visited by intelligent-controlled extraterrestrial vehicles. So again, is that ringing any bells? That this is a nuclear physicist that stood up in front of the United House of Representatives and told them that they have evidence that the Earth is being visited by intelligent-controlled extraterrestrial vehicles. So, what we're seeing now is not the first time in human history that this has happened. Friedman also stated he believed that UFO sightings were consistent with magnetohydrodynamic propulsion. So in 1996, after researching and fact-checking the Majestic 12 documents, Friedman said that there was no substantive grounds for dismissing their authenticity. So if anybody knows, the Majestic 12 documents are all the documents that are believed to be related to all the kind of secretive stuff that they've done around Roswell, etc., and some other famous incidents in UFO history. In 2004, on George Norrie's Coast to Coast radio show, Friedman debated with Seth Shostak, the SETI's Institute's senior astronomer. Like Friedman, Shostak also believed in the existence of intelligent life other than humans. However, unlike Friedman, he does not believe such life is now on Earth or is related to UFO sightings. Friedman hypothesized that UFOs may originate from relatively nearby sun-like stars. A piece of evidence that he often cited with respect to his hypothesis in the 1964 star map drawn by the alleged alien abductee Betty Hill during a hypnosis session, which she said was shown to her during her abduction. Now, I'm just going to stop there for a minute. 2 seconds.
For any of you Chewie fans out there, Chewie Watch, he's come and slept in his favorite little sleeping space. There.
This is my old sofa.
It's your this brown sofa that you always see in the background of my shop was G's that he gave to me. So yeah,
it used to be in my other studio that I had at my other house. It's one of the most comfortable couches that I've ever known.
It's very comfy.
So I'm glad that it went to a good place.
I will say, of all the ones we've mentioned so far, this is one guy that I recognise and watched interviews with him talking about like ancient aliens and things. And I do think in that picture, though, he does look a bit like Ernest Borgnine.
Yeah.
With a beard. He looks a bit like,
It's
the
funny,
guy
it's funny, 'cause I've
Dominic
got some
Santini
footage of
from
him.
Airwolf.
I've got some footage of him when he was younger, and he looks. I mean, he definitely looks the same, but he looks a lot different, which is strange. I just wanted to go back and mention. I just mentioned that he really supported the 1964 star map drawn by the alleged alien abductee Betty Hill. You guys may not be familiar with the Betty and Barney Hill incident and abduction. But I just want to use this opportunity to note that the next story time that I'm going to do is going to be all about that because it's one of the best, abduction cases in ufology, and has been investigated like so much throughout the years, and people are still investigating it now. So that will be a really cool story time to share with you guys. But so you'll find out more about that. But he definitely. And it's important because during a hypnotic session, Betty drew this sort of map to the stars, and what this map indicated. And bearing in mind, you're talking about a woman in America who had no clue about astronomy or anything like that, and she drew a map to this Zetae galaxy.
Right.
It's one of the closest galaxies to ours, and the maps, the planets that she drew out are like planets that they've since found, or they found later on. So it was several years from where she drew the map that then astronomy caught up and could find out that the map was actually laying out stars that I can't remember. I've not taken a note of the name of the galaxy, but it's the one that's next door to us, Recula.
The galaxy next to us is Andromeda.
No, then it's not that one. I don't know. I'm rubbish at remembering technical names like that. Radicula Sectai or something like that. That's what it sounds like. Let me Google it. I'll find it because it's going to frustrate the hell out of me else.
No, don't know. Are you sure it's not maybe solar systems rather than galaxies?
It may be solar
stars,
systems.
Maybe stars. Nearby stars rather than galaxies, I think, maybe. I don't know.
Just looking it up. I would have thought that you would have got it from, because I know that I've not said it right, but it sounds exactly like the way that I've just said it. Here we go. Here we go.
Triangulum galaxy is the only other major galaxy in our local group. It's the Andromeda, Milky Way, and Triangulum, and then you've got the small galaxies that orbit around, the Magellanic Clouds. But apart from those, there's only 3 main galaxies in our vicinity.
Oh, it doesn't list it here. Why doesn't it list it? I know that I saw it somewhere. Actually, I know where I saw it. 2 seconds.
Okay, cool. I'll just have a quick look through live chat. Kevin says that he was born in Jersey Devil Land. Jersey Devil Land. Yes, Friedman believed in ancient alien theory. He certainly did.
Zeta Reticuli.
Yeah, Queen of Hearts got it. Reticuli. Yeah, I think you were right there.
39 light years. So Zeta Reticuli is about 39 light years distance. So she drew it in 1964. Astronomer Marjorie Fisk constructed a 3-dimensional map of nearby suns sun-like stars, and that wasn't done until 1974. And then through her study, she was able to work out that what Betty had put in her map was Zeta Reticuli.
It is a wide binary star citizen in the southern constellation of Reticulum in the southern hemisphere. So you can't see it from the northern hemisphere here, and you'd have to be in the south of the equator to be able to see it. But yes, it's 39.3 light years away, or 12 parsecs. But yeah, definitely
there we
in
go.
our galaxy. A star system in our galaxy, yes.
Right,
yes.
I'm sure I've got some videos that I need to share.
Well
about,
done. Well done for that. That's, between us and live chat, we got there. We got there. Yeah, no, constellate, yeah.
Got a video waiting to share. This is the early days of Stanton, and
the evidence is overwhelming that flying saucers are.
I keep trying to pause it.
The evidence is overwhelming.
Oh, I see. I keep pausing it, and you keep
trying to
starting
talk. So again, I've chosen the pieces of video.
Oh, he's way younger there. Look at that.
Because again, in these sections, I feel that he talks about stuff that I really align with.
The evidence is overwhelming that flying saucers are indeed real, that the Earth is being visited. Some of the evidence is in the form of photographs taken from all over the world of UFOs. Here's a picture taken in Salt Lake City, Utah, March 8, 1972. It's the fifth in a sequence of 7 photographs taken by a professional cameraman. We can see an enlargement of it here with a region of what I think is ionized air here and some kind of ports of one sort or another around the edge. This is March 1972. This was taken near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the moon on the left, the object on the right, 2 witnesses, another witness across the street, pictures developed by the local newspaper, judged by a UFO group to be a responsible, respectable photographer, and a legitimate picture of a UFO. The biggest study ever done was or one of the larger studies, not the biggest, was the scientific study of unidentified flying objects, the Condon Report, done at the University of Colorado. Contrary to the coverage that was given this document, 30% of the cases they looked at could not be identified. This included excellent radar visual cases, sightings by 3 astronauts which remain to be identified. This makes a very good case for UFO reality, despite press coverage to the contrary.
When you were talking about the little green men, you didn't hedge at all. You said they are. Could you elucidate?
I didn't call them little green men. I mean, that's a notion that people use.
But it's not,
yes, there are hundreds of reports.
Amazing.
I love it. I just want to play it again. This is the sort of thing that he does
voice.
a lot.
He's got a great voice.
This is the sort of thing that he does a lot, and I love it. And it's kind of what I was saying earlier on, that there's a lot of stigma and stereotypical expressions that people who aren't educated or don't know and haven't studied ufology will just naturally assume is cheddar cheese, when in actual fact, not a lot of people in the world of genuine investigation in ufology talk about those languages, so.
Yes, there are hundreds of reports from all over the world from responsible, respectable people of UFOs, or Earth excursion modules, as I prefer to call them, on or near the ground, accompanied by what appear to be their pilots or passengers, however you look at it.
Did I miss it? Sorry, hold on.
A notion that people use.
There you go, hold on.
Hedge at all. You said they are. Could you elucidate?
Yeah, I didn't call them little green men. I mean, that's a notion that people use. Yes, there are hundreds of reports from all over the world from responsible, respectable people of UFOs, or Earth excursion modules, as I prefer to call them, on or near the ground, accompanied by what appear to be their pilots or passengers, however you look at it. And they're humanoid-looking creatures. That is, an arm, 2 legs, 2 head, and a body.
2 heads and a body?
No, a head, 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, and a body. Much like us. That is, they're not the bug-eyed monsters that the science fiction writers like to talk about.
Yeah, so I always used to like him because he used to bite back at people as well. And, he used to actually have this phrase that he's not an apologist ufologist. So he doesn't apologize. Yeah, he doesn't apologize for his stance and his theories, and thinks that people should just get out of the way. His positions are regarded as controversial in mainstream science and media, But Friedman claimed to receive little opposition at many of his lectures, most of which were at colleges and universities, and he did many lectures at engineering societies and other groups for other groups of physicists.
Yeah.
He had a number of debates in mainstream media, including one with UFO skeptic Michael Shermer on the CNN. But again, I've got another video.
His name, Wookie, was Stanton Friedman. I don't know if you if that's the name you're asking.
But it's interesting that because this is what I liked about him. That interviewer there is a bit of an idiot, honestly.
But what a great voice!
It's very deep, but but he implied that he said little green men. He never said little green men.
You see little green man.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I definitely liked about Stanton.
Yes, he seemed like a straight up, I hate to say nerd, but like a researched, learned fellow, not some crackpot, but someone who knew his subject and studied it inside and out.
Where's the other video going?
I do appreciate a good nerd.
Oh, I've lost. I don't think I've got another video. I thought I had more up to date.
That's okay.
I thought I had a video of where he did a lecture. Yeah, he did a lecture. It was. He went back to his hometown of where was it, Brunswick in Canada, and he did a speech at the local university. And it was one of the last ones, that he did before his passing in 2019. He made some amazing points there. Because again, he was still around when we started getting into this height of all this craziness that's been going on in the last decade. But I don't seem to have saved the video properly. Let me just check my. It's not super important anyway, but it's just he made some really, really good standout points. No, I don't think. Got it. Sorry, guys.
No worries. Doesn't matter. I can move on to the last guy we're talking about this evening.
Move on to the last, yeah.
And this is me. This isn't going to take long. But we're talking about Nick Pope. Let us know in live chat if you. Sorry,
I've just found the video.
Oh,
sorry,
okay. We won't talk about Nick. We'll watch this. Sorry, Nick. You are important to us, but you'll have to hold on a minute.
Where's Nick? Oh, Nick Pope. Yeah,
Nick
sorry.
Pope.
Who's Nick? I'm looking in chat.
The next guy.
I'm looking in chat for Nick Pope.
No, he won't be in live chat. He does do a lot of interviews.
Yeah, well, I'm
Nick Pope.
He's been
on a lot of podcasts.
Huh?
He's been on a lot of podcasts. That's Nick.
Yeah. Well, I was going to try and reach out to him, to be honest with you. But
you thought there's a chap who'll go on a podcast.
Get him on the sessions. Right, I didn't edit this one, so I need to bring it forward to where I wanted to. It's right towards the end. Take it from about here, hopefully.
I do find that's an interesting beard style.
Yeah, it is actually. If you look at it if you see him from the side angle, it's. But I think he was Jewish.
You reckon? Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Institute, and one of the comments was that one of the groups that
knock me down with a feather
would be hurt the most would be the scientists.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, this is the point that I want to make, or that he's making. And I totally align with him on this one.
Evaluation of our society from an alien viewpoint is that we're a primitive society whose major activity is tribal warfare. That's a fairly accurate picture, unfortunately. This year, we Earthlings will spend $1 trillion on things military. Every single day, 30,000 children die needlessly of preventable disease or starvation. Does that combination of numbers make any sense?
Not really.
Not to me, it doesn't.
No.
We are right at the beginning of a new view of ourselves, and it saddens me to bring the bad news to those who think that man is at the top of the heap. There was a study done about what would happen if we encountered aliens way back in the early 60s by the Brookings Institute, and one of the comments was that one of the groups that would be hurt the most would be the scientists. They suddenly realized they weren't the big shots they thought they were. I think we live in a neighborhood, galactic neighborhood, that's chock full of intelligent beings. One reason for coming here is to make sure we don't go out there. You see, flying saucers finished the job that Nicolaus Copernicus started of taking man out of the center of the universe. You remember old Nick, 1543. He had the gall to publish a book, the same year he died, so he wasn't burned at the stake, a book which said that the Earth was not the center of the universe, the sun was. The book was banned for 300 years. Now we realize, Kepler results just found, another 1,200 and some exoplanets. 60 years ago, we know there aren't any other planets out there. If there were, we would know about it. There goes arrogance again. The basic syndrome is, if that were true, I would know about it, says the smart scientist and the smart journalist. I don't, so it must not be true, and I'm not going to waste my time learning about it. That's why I have to write books. You're not going to find the information in the newspapers. Incidentally, we went over already.
Yeah, so I just thought that's a really great point that he was making about science and discovery.
I can honestly listen to him for like hours.
Yeah, he's got a really great way of presenting, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's very charismatic in his presentation style.
Yeah, very much indeed. But a pioneer of ufology, because he definitely brought a lot of credibility to it. Whenever you used to see him, in fact, in my early days of venturing into ufology, I thought he was a skeptic just because he was so kind of like direct all the time, and he would equally quite openly talk about things where he would put it down and say that's a load of rubbish. He was equally as cold with things that exist in the world of claims of ufology that just have no background evidence or whatever. So yeah, he was a real force to be reckoned with in the world of ufology.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Sorry, Chewie, I've got to talk about one more guy. He's like, you've been on your computer enough now. He keeps nudging my leg, and no, I'm not finishing yet. Okay, so let me know. Are you guys still there in live chat? It's all gone quiet. I'm just checking.
Yeah.
Just checking we're still there. Okay, so we're talking about Nick Pope next. Nick Pope was born in the 19th of September 1965. So check that out. If anybody thinks that, he just reads Wikipedia, he just spent 20 minutes reading Wikipedia, but well, you try to find his birth date on Wikipedia, you won't find it. I had to do research to find that. So Nick Pope was born on 19th of September 1965, and he investigated UFOs primarily for the MOD. He did this as a job between 1991 and 1994. Wookie is there and Kevin's there. Yes, thank you. And hearts and smiley rainbow. She just took Chewie out for a wee. That's why he's coming running around. So during 1991 and 94, he worked for the Secretariat Air Staff Sec AS-2A, more commonly known as the UFO Desk for the Ministry of Defense.
I'm showing a picture of him.
Yeah.
was taken when he was in that job role that you were just talking about for the MO.
The MOD. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, I'm just getting up. Hold on, 2 secs. There you go. Ready to share. Oh, cough this evening.
You need that Heineck maneuver we were talking about earlier. Whilst G puts in the hamster on his dial-up internet connection, we'll carry on. So the investigation of the UFO desk and his investigation officially ended in 2009, and since then he's appeared in numerous documentaries, internet interviews, podcasts, all sorts of things. He now resides in the United States, and he wrote an autobiographical account of his ufology journey called Open Skies, Closed Minds. Like Jacques Vallée, he also ended up writing sci-fi novels as well, including Operation Thunderchild, which I think is one of his more popular sci-fi novels. And he's also a journalist for the alternative news site Neon Nettle. But it's quite interesting, I think, the whole UFO journey for the MOD. In reading up about Nick Pope, I found that this UFO desk was a sort of second incarnation of something that was set up in 1950 by Sir Henry Tizard, who was the chief scientific advisor for the MOD. And there was a whole bunch of...
Did you just say Eddie Izzard?
Eddie Izzard, yeah. Sir Eddie Izzard, no. Henry Tizard.
All right. Apparently when you speak to him, it's really hard to understand what he's saying, because it's Tizard.
Yeah.
There's a picture to show, by the way. More of an up-to-date picture of what Nick Pope looks like in the 2000s.
We'll wait for that to come through. So yeah, Sir Henry Tizard set up again another guy with a lot of hair. What is with these guys? Ufologists do not lose their hair. It's sickening, really. It's totally sickening. That's just hair envy.
Hair anger.
Hair anger, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I know. Chewie's like, he's getting annoyed. He's getting annoyed with me now. Yeah, so in 1950s, Sir Henry Tizard, scientific advisor for the MOD, set up this working party to look into the UFO sightings that were happening, and in 1951, just 1 year later, concluded that generally the sightings that were found around the UK could be explained as either misidentifications or hoaxes or delusions or some such thing, and they disbanded the whole thing. But then the very next year in 1952, Royal Air Force pilots and other military personnel witnessed UFOs during a NATO military exercise. It started for the MOD, started the whole UFO question up again. At the same time, these UFOs appeared as to demonstrate extraordinary maneuverability and speeds and the sort of things we're now typically familiar with UFO sightings. And the military supplied the MOD with radar tracking evidence. So the whole UFO desk was reset up again in 1953, so that all these reportings could be recorded. Nick himself, during his main time between 91 and 94, his biggest case was the Cosford incident, which you probably know, G.
Yep.
Is it Cosford? Cosford.
Cosford.
That took place between the 30th and 31st of March 1993, where there were multiple sightings that came in all over the UK, for around a 6-hour period overnight. Some of these witnesses included the military police, Air Force Base personnel, and even a meteorological officer. And some of them described seeing a vast triangular-shaped craft flying lower over the bases, making low-frequency humming sound before suddenly accelerating away at many times the conventional speed of a military jet. But yeah, after he concluded his time, he then has been doing the rounds. He moved to America and offers up lectures and science books and appears on podcasts.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all I got, G. That's it. I'm done.
No, it's good. It's good. It was good overview. I mean, the thing about Nick Pope, and I do apologize if you mentioned this early on, but some of you may or may not know, but I think Nick Pope is a very intelligent and clever man, and not just in the world of, the background that we've just talking about, but I think, he knows how to work with the media and things like that, because, like Monte just pointed out, he only actually served that role in the MOD on the UFO desk for 4 or 3 years, was it?
Yeah, 91 to 94. So, it could
Yeah,
have been between
so
3 or 4
quite
years.
a substantially short period of time. When you think about Hynek did it across like almost 20 years, Nick Pope did it for a few years. Now, for a long time, it was a bit like one of these urban myths that go about, like people always say, oh, the guy, Marilyn Manson is the guy from Wonder Years, the geeky looking kid from Wonder Years. And everybody used to think that was true, and it's not actually true. It's an urban myth. And a lot of people feel that Mulder from X-Files was heavily influenced. Like the big story is, and you'll hear in a lot of documentaries, it'll introduce Nick Pope and it'll say, oh, the man who influenced like the character Fox Mulder, who actually was the real life Fox Mulder. Now, the truth is that Chris Carter, who's the creator of X-Files, didn't even know who Nick Pope was when he started making X-Files. So he didn't certainly influence his idea of Fox Mulder. But what Nick Pope did that was really clever is he cached on that. And he made out, so the story is that it kind of, the creators of X-Files kind of made the Mulder character around Nick Pope. And that instantly, in the world of ufology and things like conferences and seminars and whatever, pushed Nick Pope into the stratosphere of wanting to be like a key speaker. It was great, like, oh, the guy that influenced Mulder, or influenced the character Mulder, who's the real life Mulder.
I think you can say that. You could say the real life British Mulder, because, he did work for the MOD on the UFO desk, which is close.
Yeah.
Is close to a British real life Mulder as you're gonna get, isn't it?
But the only thing that I and I would say again that Nick Pope is, he's the odd one out in these pioneers because he's not really necessarily a scientist per se. You did mention that he had some sort of background in astronomy, or that?
No,
No,
I didn't.
I don't know. But if it was, I believed it was a hobby anyway, because I know that he doesn't come from a scientific field.
Nope.
Whereas all the other three do.
He was more like as the way I read it, he was more like an administrator, like a file clerk. He was kind of the person in the MOD that tracked the cases, made follow-up calls and made sure everything was filed away. Now, you can view all of the files, all of the case notes, all of the notes he took in the National Archives. The MOD has made public everything from the UFO desk. You can now download from the National Archive and read every case and read all the notes. You have to pay for them. You can either get them with like all this horrible watermarking all over, so it makes it quite difficult to read if you just download them for free. But you can, I think they're like £3 per document set if you want to actually download them proper.
Right.
But if you do read them, it does show he has a flair for writing and making the cases sound interesting, which I can see why he went on and wrote sci-fi novels, because he certainly seemed more enthusiastic about these cases than the supporting MOD letters that are around his case notes are a lot more you know, not disparaging, but not as interesting as the notes that he himself made whilst he was in that position. So he was obviously very enthusiastic about his job.
Yes. He's a smart guy, but he's also creative and with a less sort of science. So he's been able to play the whole role quite well that's suited him. I think, look, I've seen him in a lot of interviews, documentaries, presentations. At some points he's got some really, really valid points, and he has become a sort of like, especially in the world of UK ufology, he's become quite an icon. If you were going to a ufology conference and they had Nick Pope as guest speaker, a lot of people would be excited. It'd be like, wow, we've got Nick Pope. But for me, I think he's just made too much and I'm going back quite a few years now. I'm going back about 20 years because just to point out, Wookie said, you've done great research, G. And I wish I could claim that this week I've done great research, but it was only 2 days ago. Monte reminded me that we were doing the show on Friday. My knowledge around all of this comes from years, decades of being really interested in ufology and reading any number of books and watching lots of documentaries and stuff like that. So Nick Pope is very familiar to me, and he's one of the 4 pioneers that, he deserves that credit of being a pioneer, especially if we're looking at things from a UK perspective. But he's even broken into America quite well. And again, that's an indication that he knows how, he's got a good agent, he knows how to play the media, especially
that's where he lives now. He lives.
His short-term career with the MOD. And it was a short-term, he's talked about his career in the MOD like 10 times longer than he actually served in the MOD. And that's the sort of thing that, for me, it's great that he's had some success in sci-fi writing and stuff, but I think after his time in the MOD, he's failed to have some relevance within, for me, this is my opinion, he's failed to have some relevance in the ufology community, because when you go to see his presentations, when you see him at conferences, all he talks about is his time spent working for the MOD in those 3 years. He's had all of this time to do other stuff independently, like Hynek did, whatever, but he's just continuing to cash in on that short period of time. So, yeah, that's my only thing with it.
As Wookie pointed out there, I do find it interesting how there is some common theme with the whole writing sci-fi novels with ufologists. It does feel a little L. Ron Hubbard like, especially when you move to America and then you start having UFO weekend retreats that you can sign up to and attend a retreat with Nick Pope and have talks on UFOs and his writings. And I don't know, when you've got that active imagination that you can write really good sci-fi novels and do that sort of thing, it sends alarm bells in my head, really, that you're good at propaganda and you're good at writing a good narrative and you're sucking people along with you, a bit like Ron Hubbard as well, and I just think, well, skeptical. The skeptic in me pops out and goes,
Yeah, I mean, Wookie in chat said ufologist / sci-fi writing common theme. I would actually challenge that. There's not a great deal of really well-established ufologists that have migrated into becoming sci-fi writers.
It was just 2 out of 4 tonight, so it's 50%.
But
Small sample set, small sample set.
Going on to what Kevin said, Pope always is always on TV, especially in America, the way they love him because he's ex-MOD and respected. And you're 100% right, Kevin. He is well respected, and a lot of the time, within documentaries, they'll use Nick Pope in the hope that it grounds the documentary and makes it look a lot more credible. Because, like you said, he's got that. He's worked for the Ministry of Defense. He's military military contract background. But the thing is, for me, in the early days after he came out of his role with the MOD and started to come into the sort of more independent public sector I know that in several interviews he went along with. I'm a bit with Monte on this one because, along with the sci-fi writing, with the fact that I know I've seen him in interviews where he himself has made claim that he's the British Mulder, right? And he influenced the character, and I know for a damn fact that he didn't influence the character. He's lost a lot of credibility and trust for me there, because when anything else that comes out of your mouth afterwards, how am I assured that it's going to be genuine when you've just told me a lie? So that's why I'm a bit skeptical of Nick Pope. But if anybody in chat disagrees with me, by all means say so. But everybody's entitled to their opinion. But I've chosen Nick Pope to be a pioneer of ufology and be featured in this program because it's undeniably that he is a pioneer of ufology. And
he's had a massive impact.
Yeah,
he has had a massive
so
impact.
I won't deny that, but he's just not someone who like several times now I've said that I really align with this individual, and he's not somebody that I incredibly align with.
But as Queen Hart said, Americans do love an English accent. I learned that myself when at the age of 13 or 14 I went to Florida for the first time, and I was in Tampa, I think it was, around a pool, just got talking to some American girls, and suddenly I had this massive crowd of American girls all wanting to. I mean, I wasn't a popular guy at school, but suddenly, like on the side of this pool in this hotel, I was suddenly the most popular thing. I was like,
just became Elvis Presley.
I did. I was like, what is this?
All the Beatles.
I love this place. This is great.
Yeah, it was exactly the same for me when I lived in America, in Arizona, and people used to say, somebody would say to somebody, "Oh, yeah, he's from England," and they go, "Oh, I love an English accent. Say something." And you go, "What do you want me to say?" And they go, "Oh my god, oh my god!" You just said, "Oh my." But the funny thing was, after I'd been living there, because remember, I lived there when I was in my teens. So after I'd lived there for about 3 or 4 months, I'd kind of adopted the accent and lost a lot of my British accent. And so then people used to introduce me from England. People used to go, "Oh God, I love the English accent. Say something." And then I'd go, "What do you want me to say?" And they'd be like, "You don't sound British. You sound American." So yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah. It was funny when you came back and you joined sixth form, and we had this like introduction to sixth form to meet all your sixth form buddies, and G come in, and I hadn't seen him for like a year, and he was just like, "Howdy, y'all." We were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, there's literally people who were like, "Oh, there's a guy there's an American boy that's joined the school," and it's like, no, I was from here originally. I'd just been in America for a long time and picked up the accent. But, I was at that age where, kids just
You're impressionable. You soaked it up. Yeah, you soaked up
and I still do it now because I still catch myself saying words in American ways, like tomatoes and stuff like that. And, there was something on one of my videos the other day. I know I said it in the American format of the American English rather than English.
There we go. So that's it. We've covered
our
topics.
Pioneers.
That's our ufology pioneers. That is it for this podcast for this month. Don't forget, if you like TNG, join us next Wednesday at 8:00 for the next TNG review show. We're on Rumble now, so get over to Rumble and sign up to the Vault on Rumble, and Yep.
Yes, and I was going to say, Monty, thank you for doing that. I really appreciate that. That sounds like a really good idea, and I can't wait to check it out. I did want to just say quickly, I was talking earlier on about how there's going to be less content coming from me, but one of the things that we've been a little bit lackadaisical on is the rhythm and routine on the Monte Zone, but we'll make sure that we keep to that rhythm now in the months going forward and make sure we're with you on the last Friday of every month. But I want to say a big thank you to everyone that's joined us this evening, because actually when we were off air before we started, because we've been a bit inconsistent recently with the Monte Zone because of everything that was going on, we didn't expect a lot of people to be joining us this evening. So really pleased that we've had so many of you viewing and stayed with us and been active in
fantastic.
Chat. Love the support. Thank you so much. You really are part of the family, guys. So thank you to Sean. Thank you to Wookie. Thank you to Kevin. Thank you to Queen of Hearts. Thank you to Smiler, as always, for being our wrench and always supportive with us there in chat. Thank you to Karen, and thank you to Mazza, who popped along and said hello, and to Tunny. And am I missing anybody? Sean. Great to see Sean, as always, from the TNG review. And
thank you to Andy, Kevin. Thank you to Kevin. Thank you to Andy Steeth for coming along at the very beginning. Though he was going out camping this evening, he popped by and said hello just before he left.
Hope you're enjoying the rewatch, because he says he's going to rewatch it tomorrow. So hi Andy, hope you're enjoying the rewatch.
Yeah, don't forget, if you have rewatched it, thank you for Chewy. Yes, thank you to Chewy's like, are you finishing now?
I did forget somebody. I forgot to say thank you, Snake King.
Oh, Snake King. Thank you, Snake King. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
I will say it was actually Snake King that drew my attention to the whole Congress UAP hearing yesterday. He followed it and was really excited by it. So thank you for drawing my attention to that, Snake King. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have had the monthly news segment. So, thank you for that. Check out G's new video on the
Underground Paradox.
Underground Paradox.
I need to change the description because you've still got it as the BFSI channel.
Have I? Gosh.
Yeah, it's the Underground Paradox. So if you haven't subscribed already, please come over and join me. And I talk a lot about. It's like a brother channel really to the Vault, because I do talk a lot about if I upload something on the Vault, I share it on that channel and vice versa. And so please, if you haven't done so long already, go along, please subscribe. But yes, Sunday at 6 p.m. is when that hour-long video of me doing several investigations on the wilderness on Dartmoor, that'll be available on Sunday.
And we will see you next month, the end of August, for the next Monte Zone. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.